So in today's video, what we got going on is we are addressing the wheelbase differences between the El Camino and the Honda CRV. I was thinking about stubbing up this guy, but what I think I'm going to do is lengthen that guy. I'm going to show you the entire process and give you my thought process behind it. Also, link down below, you have a little bit of time left to enter to win that 1988 LS swapped Honda Accord. Go ahead and do that while you still have the chance. Let's get started.
And now, you're watching the embarrassing misunderstanding that is your waitress asking if you want a box for your leftovers does not mean she wants to throw hands. Channel of YouTube. Welcome to BodeVision.
Hey, so what is up and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me yet again on another video on El Chapo, the Honda Mino. Everybody likes coming up with names for these things and I am all about it. So we are picking up where we left off in the last video. We see exactly what we need to do, but we are not there quite yet. So what I need to cut is I need to make the widest point of this the pinch welds if I want to drop it over the Honda CRV floor. So all of this stuff needs to get out of the way. So I guess the only thing for me to do is I need to stop talking and start cutting. So I got both cars switched out. It was going to rain and I didn't want this guy to sit outside in the rain. I'd rather have the body of the El Camino getting wet because I don't care if that gets wet. This one, not so much, or I do care. I don't want this to get wet. So what I was thinking initially was the wheelbases of these two vehicles are different. The El Camino's a little bit longer. Initially I thought, just based on some of the numbers that I looked up, I thought we were talking about a foot. So I figured if I moved the wheel arch a foot forward, then I stubbed up the back of the El Camino a foot, kept the top body line the same, it would look okay, but I wasn't a huge fan of the way that looked. It was kind of starting to look like a clown car, like you know the Volkswagen buses when they shorten them and they start to look a little bit funny. So I was a little bit indifferent about them. Now today I actually started to take some measurements. I figured out we have about 102, we have 117, so that's a 15-inch difference, so 5 inches more than I was initially thinking. The back tire was going to have to come up 5 inches closer, and that kind of sealed the deal for me. I'm not going to want to do that. I don't want to touch that body that much because it's not just the outside, there's all the inner structure going on with it. If it was just the outer shell and I had to make a few cuts, it wouldn't be too hard to figure out what I would have to do. Now what's not hard to figure out to do is to make one cut back here. Extend my drive shaft, extend my fuel lines, extend my brake lines, extend my e-brake cable, and extend the wiring. Really, even though that list is kind of long, it's just top to bottom, A to B. Extend this one, extend that one, then we'll be done. It's very easy to figure out what exactly I gotta do. So I'm going to make a cut right here. Pull this back to 15 inches, reinforce it with some bracing, make sure it's stronger than it would have been out of the factory. Then extend all my lines. Then we will have this guy sitting at the correct base and we don't have to touch the body of the El Camino because this is going to be a nice paint job in the end. Why are you so blurry, dude? Stop doing that, man. Because this is going to be a nice paint job in the end, so I don't want to cut up the body and get all crazy with it. I figured it's probably just easier for me to extend the CRV. So let's get the seats ripped out, carpet pulled back, figure out what lines we need to get out of the way, drive shaft, and eventually by the end of this video, we're going to cut this guy in half. We're getting really far out to have less work to do. Okay. Oh! I ripped my pants! So at this point, I have everything pretty much set up. I have all of the lines cut back. Let me see how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. There's 5 of them. I don't know exactly what all 5 are. I know there's some fuel and some brake. I cut them all. I'm going to have to extend them and put them back together, which should be no problem at all. They actually look a little bit rusty further on the line, so I might just put a joint here and then run them all the way, so that way I don't have a brake and then a brake. But I'll figure that out when we get there. So there is nothing else in the way. Drive shaft is gone, all of the electrical is gone, and all of the plumbing is gone. So we have a piece of tape right here. I'm just going to be cutting along this tape line. Now keep in mind, there's actually kind of like frame little structure things down here. My plan is once these get cut, I'm going to stuff a tube into the frame, at least 6 inches on the front side, 6 inches on the back side, and then this whole thing is going to be extended by 15, 17, 16. I don't remember the exact number, but I have everything written down, and it doesn't even matter because I know that we are shooting for 117 inches. So I don't even really care what this is right now. I just care how it lands. So ain't nothing to it. But to do it, let's make a cut, make this thing 2 pieces. And we're getting deep now, but I like it. Alright, so now we have 2 halves. We got the front half and the back half. Now let's get into a sophisticated process called the be winging it. That's because I just be winging it. So let's see, we are going for 117 inches. So what I did here was I drilled a screw into the center of my center cap. I found perfect center by using this guy right here, nice little caliper, making sure it was perfectly centered. And it is, because in the be winging it process, when you do be winging it, it's important to be a little bit accurate. So we have that on all of the wheels. That is my baseline. That's how I'm going to figure out what I need to do. So I'm going to hook it in the back edge of the screw right here. Now it's important with this side that I'm looking at the back edge. We're not going center on center, we're going back edge on back edge. So we have exactly 117 inches, and that's exactly what we are going for. But now we have another problem. So right here in the be winging it process, we are actually lengthening the body by pretty damn close to 15 inches exactly, but we are not perfectly true or plumb or square because I have a little gap right here. So now that I know 15 inches is kind of my benchmark, I need to make sure this guy is in the right spot first, which this gets a little bit crazy. Check this out. Ooh, baby. So that right there looks pretty good. Now let's check our 15 to see if we got to move forward or backwards. We're at 15.5, so let's bring this guy forward about 1/2 inch. Did not bring it quite far enough, but either way, you get the idea. So I'm making sure it is square, I'm making sure the distance is good, and then hopefully I get close enough so that way the difference can be made up by the alignment itself. I think it'll be fine. I'm not going to move forward until the numbers are correct, so we need to make sure it's nice and square, then we need to make sure it's exactly at 117 inches. Once all that's set up, then we are going to focus on putting strength back into this, because we are doing stuff that's a little bit wild, but I like it. right, so at this point we got some really good stuff going on now. That HTP 220 Pro Pulse welder, you know, the welder that I use, that thing kills it, man. I can't make that thing weld bad even if I try. So we got some braces going on right in this area. That's looking pretty good. I want to go ahead and pull off my clamps so that way I can get rid of those, and then I'm going to do some side pieces. So the plan is I'm going to do layers to build the strength back. The first one is just going to be bridging the gap. The next one on top of that is going to shoot past the gap, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when we get there. But we are already starting to shape up, and our wheelbase length is perfect. It's exactly where it needs to be, and I feel like this was the better way to go. I'm gonna have this all set up, drop the El Camino body on it, then we're done. Not exactly, but you know what I mean. I'm not gonna have to mess with doing all that kind of body work because I don't feel like doing that. It would take a lot of time, and this in reality seemed to be a lot more intimidating than it turned out to be. Not too bad, making good progress. So at this point, we are moving on from the winging it phase to the he's just a friend phase. You know, at this point, I hear what you're saying, he's just a friend, but I don't trust it. Never trust, he's just a friend. I don't trust that this is strong enough yet, so we need to make it stronger. So what I'm going to do next, I got this little guy on the side right here. This is just the first one to kind of tie this off. This piece right here is actually 14 gauge sheet metal, really thick, a lot thicker than what would have been in here. Now we're going to put this in the top to kind of cap it off. I drilled out a hole right here, there's a hole right here and another one right there, also here and here. So all of these are going to be spot welded, or technically it's a rosette weld that's going to kind of hold it together. And on the left side I'm going to weld it out, the right side I'm going to weld it out, and across this entire top edge is going to be welded, and across the bottom edge. This is just going to give us structure at the top of the channel. Later we are going to probably put some angle iron at the bottom of the channel so that way it can give our flat piece something to land on, as well as extend to the left, extend to the right. Then I'm going to probably sheet this entire length in, or a good amount of the length in, with a thicker sheet metal just to keep on adding and giving us more strength. My goal is with this is I want it to be even stronger than it was initially, because all-wheel drive, possibly turbo El Camino, we are going to want the chassis to be nice and stiff. And also check out that box over there, man. That's something really cool that I got for this. we are at the point where I want to skin this in. I want to walk with you through the process, or through my process and what I do. So I'm just going to draw this first line. And this first line, I'm just basing it on the other one that I already made. So this first line is going to help us make the entire thing right here. So we got a line right there. And this is just my process. I've done this many times. You can go ahead and copy my process if you would like. I have a whole roadmap and key and whatnot of when I am making this. So the first thing that I want to do is establish my perimeter. So I'm going to have 2 panels, one on the left, one on the right. This is going to be a center area. And I'm keeping my width the exact same throughout the entire thing. So we got that there. And this is going to be a drop down line. So this is going to sit lower than the outer edge. So we got that going on, keeping it consistent. Then we got this, that right there. And that right there, so this is my perimeter. This is going to be a drop down panel, and this is going to be a drop down panel. Then we are going to take my 45 right here. This is going to be our first beaded section. So that's just 45 right off this corner. Then we are going to go 45 off of this corner right there, just like that. And then finish this guy out all the way. And then with my framing square right here, we are going to move to the fat side. So I have my first line established. So I'm just going to keep that same 45-degree angle, but using the fat side of my framing square. That's 1 bead. That's 2 beads. This last one is going to end up being kind of small, but that's all good. So we got that there. And I'm running this all the way to the edge, but in the end the bead itself is not going to run to the edge because I'm going to have to establish a finish line. I'll show you what that looks like here in just a second. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. Just play with it, mess around, figure out what you want to do, as long as you can replicate them on all panels that you are making, because it should be pretty consistent at the end. Ooh, I missed that one. Alright, so now I am going to do my finish lines, and I'm going to use a different piece of material. You can use whatever you want, however you want, as long as you are doing it consistently. So my bead is going to start right there, and then it is going to end over here on this one. So it is not going to go all the way to the edge, and that gives it a nice professional look to it. And keep in mind, all of this is going to be covered by carpet, sound deadening, whatever it is, it's going to be covered, but it's still cool to kind of get in there and do some stuff, you know. Alright, so these panels are going to be sunken. This outer perimeter is going to be higher all throughout there. Within the panel, we are going to have a bead. The bead is going to start there, finish there, start there, finish there, start there, finish there, and so on. The distance that the bead starts and finishes is going to be consistent throughout the entire panel, and this is looking really good. So let's take this to the bead roller now. Come on. Alright, so as you can see right here, we have our beautiful panel made, and I also went ahead and we did these holes right here. These holes are going to line up with my braces down below. So as you can see, we got a little bit of a hot rod influence in this Japanese little Honda thing going on, kind of a mix of different styles. So as I start to weld this out, it'll be held down really nicely. I think everything looks really good, and I like the direction that we are going. So the only thing left to do is we got to weld this out, and then we will, we'll see what's next. We have this side going, we got that side over there. So let's just go ahead and weld this thing in. I like it. Alright, so all of the jack stands are out of here. Let's go ahead and slowly test this, make sure it is all good. I think it is solid, dude. I'm super happy with this. I went ahead and I stitch welded a bunch of it as well, just to make sure it is going to be really good and strong. I still have a little bit more work to do, but either way, at this point, I wanted to show you so you can get the idea and you can get the picture and you can see that we are looking really good. Now, obviously, there's still going to be some flex in it because we are missing a body. I might reinforce it a little bit more. This entire thing might get a roll cage. I will just figure all of that stuff out when we get there. Judging by how sloppy or stiff it is all going to be once we get the body put on, we will see. Because keep in mind, behind the back seats, below the window, that is all stiff in there. So it is going to have to be reinforced in order to put it together as well. So more reinforcement will come with attaching the body to this floor. Long wheelbase CRV. I really like it. So coming up, what I can foresee the next steps being, get the BC Racing coilovers unboxed, thrown on the platform here, get this thing as low as we can possibly get it so that way we don't have to lift the El Camino up as high. And also in the end, we want this thing to be low and nice. So if you could, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think thus far. Also check out that link. You still have a little bit of time to get entered to win the V8 swapped Honda Accord, and I will see you on the next one where we are definitely putting the El Camino body on the Honda CRV floor, platform, whatever it is, man. It's super exciting. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.